International law doesn't exist. By Force Doctrine. You can use Force Doctrine to say that international law doesn't exist. Let's consider that I create my own law, Spencer's Law. Why shouldn't you follow Spencer's Law and you should follow international law? What is the authority there? It's just whoever has the ability to enforce it. That's the only way law exists in any valid sense. But international law is not able to enforce law that the government, and by extension the U.S. president, disagrees with. And if the U.S. president decides to get involved in a bunch of different foreign issues, the UN cannot successfully enforce on the U.S. to prevent this. So it doesn't even really exist, international law. It only exists for countries that are smaller outside of the UN that they think international law applies to, that America wouldn't be willing to defend. But then at that point, it's just America choosing to allow something. The reason Spencer's Law doesn't exist is because I can't enforce that on you. I don't have the power to. The reason international law isn't valid is because it cannot be enforced on people if the U.S. disagrees with them. Trump knows this, the UN knows this, and you could say as a counter-argument that there's a world where international law becomes more powerful and stronger than the U.S., in a world where the collection of countries becomes stronger militarily than the U.S. military. That's true. But there's also a world where Spencer's Law becomes more powerful. That doesn't mean Spencer's Law is valid now. Laws only exist if they have the capacity to be enforced in that current moment. If they don't exist. By exist, I mean it doesn't give the law legitimacy to be enforced. And that's relevant because that's what people are talking about when they talk about international law. They say, you violated international law. I should have the authority to enforce. You're a criminal. Well, you're violating Spencer's Law right now, so I should have the authority to enforce on you. And you're a criminal. You see how ridiculous that sounds? And you would dismiss Spencer's Law because it's ridiculous. And the way you would treat Spencer's Law is exactly how we should treat international law. And that's how Trump treats it. Quick snippet I wanted to add to the international law topic. When we talk about force doctrine, we're talking about force monopolies. Who has the monopoly on force? Whoever has the monopoly on force will be the ones to delve out rights, which are essentially privileges. They get to dictate which laws are enforced and which laws to ignore. So think of it in terms of monopolies. That's all that matters when it comes to force doctrine.